Number 1. The Book of Soyga. Famous Elizabethan mathematician, astrologer, occultist, and alchemist John Dee was also a scholar. He served as a consultant to Queen Elizabeth's court and, more impressively at the time, amassed the country's greatest library with some 3,000 volumes. Dee thought that God's angels had delivered the Book of Soyga, also known as Aldaria by the magician, to Adam in the Garden of Eden. The book itself was 16th century treatise on magic and was not likely to be inspired by celestial beings in the same way that this article is not. This book's intrigue actually begins after Dee's passing. Dee was obliged to sell many of the remaining books since his incredible library was looted. Over the few years he was in Europe to provide for himself in his final days. Before 1994, when the scholar Deborah Harkness found 2 copies of the Book of Soyga in painfully visible locations like the British Library in London and the Bodleian Library in Oxford, it was believed to be gone. Number 2. The Rohonc Codex history is known to have begun in 1838 when the Count Gustave gave the Hungarian Academy of Sciences a portion of his library. It has been determined that the language it is written in is entirely separate, despite a little resemblance to Old Hungarian script. No one has been able to decode its text, much like with the Voynich manuscript, although it has never been proven conclusively one way or the other. It is widely thought to be a fake created by the nationalist and forger Samuel Literary Means of Hungary. Numerous academics and lay people have studied the codex since it was made widely known about its existence, but no one has been able to offer a widely acknowledged and persuasive translation or interpretation of the text. Around 1840, Hungarian scholar Frank Todi, as well as Paul Huntsley and Austrian cryptographer Albert Marr, began studying the Codex in 1884. And 1885, Joseph Jury and his son Constantin Joseph Jury, both Prague University professors, examined 32 pages of the Codex. The Codex was delivered to Bernhard Joll, a professor at the University of Innsbruck, in 1885. The renowned Hungarian painter Hale also brought the Codex to Paris in 1890 to 1892 to study it. Number 3. The Red Book. Famous psychologist Carl Jung, who started the analytical psychology movement, lived in the 20th century. Despite evidently departing from Freud's belief he was a student of psychologist or psychology. During his time, he started working on the Liber Novus, which went by the informal name The Red Book, among Jung's successors and disciples before being published. The book's genesis can be traced back to Jung's apparent psychotic episode that began in 1930. The time period was described by Jung himself as a conflict with his own psyche. He spent 16 years working on it and creating his own psychological ideas. The book's contents were created utilizing a method that Jung himself developed and dubbed, that is called active imagination, whereupon he encountered a male and female character whom he later recognized as the prophet Elijah and Salome, who assisted him in entering a collective unconscious world. The Red Book was kept secret by Jung's descendant for nearly 80 years, up until 2001. In 2009, it was finally released. Number 4. According to one review, the Codex Seraphinianum is a novel that lies in the uneasy boundary between surrealism and fantasy. The book, which was created by Italian artist Luigi Serafini, is meant to be a reference guide for a fantasy setting. It features weird color images throughout and is written in a language that Serafini invented. There are towns crackled in enormous oyster shells suspended over a sea, fish with eyelashes that resemble human eyeball, bleeding fruit, and cities punctured with safety pins. Additionally, the language has proven to be unintelligible, yet according to its page on e-books, cryptographers have succeeded in unlocking the numbering system. Number 5. The Codex Mendoza is a remarkable book with a peculiar past. It was probably ordered in 1616 by Viceroy Antonio de Mendoza and sent to Spain for the king's review. However, the fleet that was traveling there was assaulted by French privateers, and the codex and other valuables that were on board were taken to France as a result. After a few hundred years of obscurity, it eventually found its way to Bodleian Library in Oxford. The fact that this book was produced by Aztec scribes and informants and was about the Aztec people makes it extraordinary. It is what some academics refer to as the first autoethnography, a biography of an entire people written by members of the group. If you find this video informative and if you did like the video, do share and subscribe the channel.